Come on down here in the basement. I want to show you something. Something I'm sure you haven't been checking out lately. And that's the domestic hot water tank. How many times have you really went down into the basement or into the furnace room and maintained the hot water tank? Now, I know some folks will say, well, what do you mean by maintaining a hot water tank? I mean, what does it require? It heats the water and that's all it does. Well, it does do a lot more than that when you think about it. First of all, it accepts cold water in from the main line into the hot water tank, which goes down into the tank and fills the tank from the bottom. But down in the bottom is the heater. And this happens to be a gas-fired hot water tank. So therefore, that heater now, with the burner underneath it, makes the water hot up to the temperature that's required for the domestic usage. Now, with that cold water coming into the tank, there's a lot of residual that comes in. Could be sand, it could be silt, it could be from flushing out the water lines in the local community. But all that ends up in the bottom of the hot water tank because it's heavier and it sinks to the bottom. Now, hot water tanks do require maintenance beyond that of just inside. First of all, on top of the tank, if you can't read cold or hot, it requires a dusting. So dust it off, keep it clean. Never store anything around a hot water tank because it's very important to keep it always clear in the event if the hot water tank ever did spring a leak, or like this particular unit here has got the pressure release valve on the side. And the pressure release valve, what it does is allow the extra pressure that builds up inside the tank when it ever happens, so it can be released. And as you can see, the water will then come out. I'm letting it come into a paint tray. Otherwise, it would just come out onto the floor and come around to the back of the tank where there's a floor drain and drain away. Now, that isn't where you maintain the hot water tank. That's only for the pressure release valve. Down here is where you maintain the hot water tank. And that's a valve, which is a faucet, that will accept the same thread as your outside lawn hose. So I'm going to go out and get the lawn hose now, and we'll adapt it on there, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Now, I've got my garden hose here, and I'm going to use the Quick Connect. Now, the Quick Connects are very handy. In fact, you can buy them at your local hardware or building supply center. But they just snap in, and we're ready to go. Now, I'd take the Quick Connect, and I'm going to put it on the valve. Tighten it, and snap on the garden hose. Now all I have to do is turn the valve on, and that's now going to feed water out through the garden hose to the laundry tap. There. Now there is the residual that I'm talking about. That rust, that buildup, you've got to get rid of that, because if you don't get rid of that, that's impeding the burner from giving you the efficiency of the gas which you're burning to keep that domestic hot water warm. So once it's running clear, normally takes about 12 liters of water, then it'll run clear. But after it's run clear, simply shut the water off, go back over to the hot water tank, shut the hot water valve off, go back into the laundry, release the pressure, and incidentally, if you had a lot of twists in your lawn hose, this is a great time to get rid of them, because that warm water sure makes it nice and straight. Come back down the hot water tank, snap off the hose, take your Quick Connect off, snap it in your hose, and there you've maintained your hot water tank, and it's going to be much more efficient, last a lot longer, because you won't have that residual in there causing the real problems with the boiler. So, next time, don't forget that little white machine.